Howdy, folks. Hey, welcome to this episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning on this Thursday night. And I am Officer Van Ebert. I am on the scene here for this end of watch episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning, okay? So we've got an APB for all of you to join me on this episode here. So that way you can hear all about end of watch, especially if you've seen end of watch, because we're going to get very spoilery tonight about it. And this is your chance to talk in depth with me and everybody else that shows up here tonight, all about end of watch. Okay, you can live chat with me, live chat with other end of watch lovers and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely make sure to send the link out to this show to anybody you even slightly remotely suspect would like to take part in this end of watch episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning, all right? But hey, let's go ahead and take care of a little business real quick, and I will be right back with you.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
All right, so yeah, you guys should be gigged. You guys should be psyched here for this end of watch episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning here. And also, just want to let everybody know that, hey, if you aren't watching this live, if you're watching it later on, get in the comments down below, right? And let me know what you guys think about this episode. All right, so let's get right into end of watch right there. Why don't we, huh? Because that's what you guys are here for. And, you know, one of the things I like about end of watch is we didn't have to wait long at all to see some not so friendly citizens of South Central wipe their ass with the law and open fire on the police. Okay, like back in 2012, something like that was actually more of a rarity. But nowadays, in most, if not all, blue cities, they call that Tuesday. Now, Brian and Mike, of course, are two main characters in End of Watch. Brian played, of course, by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Mike played by Michael Pena. I mean, they handle police business like champs and blow those one leg in the grave already gangbangers out of their socks in that first scene when the initial car chase at the beginning there wraps up, you know, where they go and they spin out the car and all the gangbangers come out blasting. And again, yeah, Brian and Mike, they blow those one leg in the grave already gangbusters, you know, into the next world. Okay, because hey, you fuck around, you find out. I mean, you know, if you get out of your car, you start blasting at cops. Well, see ya. Now, I like how Brian explains their job during the opening car chase too. He even says he may not agree with some of the laws, but it's his job to enforce them. Now, I can't say I agree with having that type of blind allegiance, though. If a cop knows following orders will harm a peaceful citizen or violate their constitutional rights, you know, in my book, it's time to stop being a robot with a badge and do what's right, okay? You shouldn't turn off your brain, okay? You shouldn't, I mean, when you're having a existential moral conflict like that, when everything in your brain, everything in your heart, both at the same time is screaming at you going, this is wrong, man, this is wrong, you're not going to be able to live with yourself for the rest of your life if you do this. You're not going to be able to, you know, take comfort in the fact that you have a badge and a nightstick and a gun. That's not going to make you feel better about what you're about to do. And, you know, so you can't hide behind your family as a cop. You know, like shutting down constitutionally protected worship at churches during a pandemic for a virus with a less than 1% IFR or infection fatality rate, just because you were told to. I mean, that's a perfect example of this, right? I mean, how many of us saw news reports of people just, wanting to get together and worship at church. It's just their typical Sunday service. They want to get together with their fellow Christians and fellowship. And next thing you know, we got 5-0 strolling up to the church going, okay, this isn't a weed shop. This isn't a liquor store. This isn't a Black Lives Matter, protest / right. You got to go home. Okay. This is a super spreader event. Now, if, you were waving a bunch of signs saying, cops are pigs or, fuck the police or stuff like that, hey, then we would let it go on. Then we would let you do your thing, because for some reason in some world, with some measure of some type of science, that would not be a super spreader event. But you all getting together and singing hymns and worshiping God, that is a super spreader. And so we're here to brainlessly just break this whole thing, just break this whole thing up. You guys call it church. We call it, something that we have to break up here because we're mindless robots with badges. Okay. So we saw a lot of that, right? We saw a lot of news reports about that. And it just basically, to me, and I know I'm getting very political. We'll get back to end of watch right there. But to me, that just was a garden variety example and demonstration of the government being way too big. The government forgetting who they work for. They work for us. All right. We don't work for them. And so they got a little too, big, in their britches, and they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to break up the constitutionally protected right to practice religion, religious liberty, all of that stuff, right? And now I think Brian and Mike, though, to get back to end of watch here, I think Brian and Mike in this are portrayed in a way that I think they would do the right thing in that situation. Okay, job be damned. I'm pretty confident that, thinking cops like Brian and Mike wouldn't just go, hey, you know what? I got bills to pay, and I'm going to hide behind this badge. They're not going to be forward thinking enough to realize that, hey, this scamdemic isn't going to last forever. What are you going to say to your community in 7 years when this is a distant memory, but your conduct isn't a distant memory? They're going to remember. Okay, they are going to remember, like, oh yeah, Officer what's his nuts. I remember. Yeah, we were just trying to go to church and fellowship and praise God, and Officer what's his nuts came up there and was only too happy to shut down our church while letting the weed shop down the street and the Home Depot down the street and the liquor store down the street. They were only too happy to let them stay open. But our church, that's beyond the pale. We can't have church open right there. So this is a super spreader event. You gotta shut this down right here. So, but I think Brian and Mike, not to repeat myself over and over again, I think that they would be intuitive enough and they would be their own people enough to not follow that order right there. So now I can't say I've ever observed a scene like the one later on in End of Watch where Mike gets pissed enough to just offer a good old man-to-man throwdown to a suspect. So Mr. Trey, the character in this movie here, no badge, no gun, just mano-y-mano because Mr. Trey called him out. I can't remember ever seeing a cop do that in a movie. And so right away, this movie is something else entirely. Okay, there's nothing formulaic about End of Watch. And David Ayer drives home the point of, in these streets, if you disrespect someone, you better be able to back it up with your fist. And even the cops subscribe to that theory. And, it's rough. It's real. It's what it is. And you know what? Hey, I want to play a video here for you guys. Basically showing some real cops breaking down that very scene where Mike is throwing down with Mr. Trey, because I was curious to see what some real cops would have to say about that. But again, going back, I remember, the very first time I saw End of Watch and this scene came up and I'm watching this scene go down, and I was like, Oh my God! Wow, that's real, or I think it's real. I don't know. I mean, it's just a total departure from any kind of cop drama I've ever seen. I mean, you didn't see Martin Riggs and Lethal Weapon doing that, right? Or you didn't see, another cop movie. I couldn't even think of a cop movie right now. My mind is mush right now. But yeah, other cop movies. You don't see Dragnet doing that. but yeah, let's hear like what these real world cops have to say about that scene. So here we go.
All of a sudden, just freaking rolling to a ball.
Yo. Hey.
Fuck you too.
Shut your fuck. You touch me, I'll fucking shoot you. You stay where you are.
I don't give a fuck about both of you motherfuckers. I'm ready to die today. Fuck y'all.
This can go one of several ways right now. It is all about your attitude.
Fuck you. I got my mail. I helped him. Give me my mail. I'm getting tired of shit. On blood game, I'm not playing with y'all.
Sir, if you've been drinking, you need to stay the fuck inside and not intimidate the mailman. That's it.
I mean, how many calls have you been on where like people act like they truly act like that, like way amped up? They're like wanting to fight.
They don't give a fuck who you are.
They don't give a shit. You're the cops. You're in their house. Like it's on. Like and you, like you're standing there and like in the back of your head, you're like, this is not gonna go well.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be a fight.
Yeah, but there's de-escalation. That's
right. We got to de-escalate, which we practice.
Like we practice, and there's a time and a place,
but that's not really de-escalation at that point.
Well, that's a poor de-escalation. Like you got to stay in your fucking house if you're drunk. Like
that's,
you don't say it like that.
No, hell no.
You're gonna be like, dude, I don't want to take you to jail. Like,
yeah,
I've even found that like
quit bothering the fucking mailman. Like you can even like curse words aren't big. Like especially to a guy like this guy's portraying like a somewhat gang member kind of dude.
I think
and they don't respond to sirs and ma'ams, and you got to be like, hey, chill the fuck out, man.
Yep. Yeah, I think when you're in a call and when cops are in a situation like that where someone's like super amplified, I think just if you just somewhat just like play it cool, dude, like be a human. Like, hey, this isn't a big deal. Like, dude, what fuck? Like, bro, tell me what's going on. Did your chick piss you off? Like, people like tend to calm down when you talk to them like that, right? Like, but when you start barking orders at them and stuff, like, man, that's when things start to go probably sideways for you. Now, there are some cops out there looking for shit like that.
But I think the takeaway from this is, as a cop, you have to recognize that you're in someone else's home.
Exactly.
So you have to respect people, even though you don't want to, you need to. And that's called professionalism.
And they're in an argument with their spouse, girlfriend.
Yeah.
He's, that's an emotional thing. Like we all have argued with our spouses.
I don't want a cop in my house fucking barking orders at me.
But and then again, there's so many things that like we could break this down for hours probably. Like I'm gonna take this conversation outside.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, whatever.
Now the rest of it's kind of funny because
it's stupid.
Pretty unrealistic.
Shut the fuck up, because without that badge and gun, you ain't shit.
Yeah?
You're less than motherfucking nothing. You motherfucking border hopper, donkey riding Mexican motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you want to find out what I'm
it's not
about?
that unrealistic.
Yeah, like
Let's settle this right here.
I think back in the day,
Not again, man.
like way back in the day, I definitely heard of cops doing this. Like taking the
I guarantee you,
the badge off, like let's do
Hell
this.
no, but you called me out, bro. Now I'm calling you out. What's up?
Well, my thing has been like I've said like
handcuffs on my motherfucking.
I wanted. So he's taking his badge off right now.
Yeah.
And I've had people like, without that badge, you ain't shit. And I've been like, dude, obviously you don't fucking respect the badge. So what's it matter if I'm wearing it or not?
Yeah.
I've said that to them multiple times. Like, yeah, if you want to go, like, hey, I'm trying to calm you down and I don't want to fight you, but if you want to fight, let's do it. Like, I mean, it is what it is.
That's just what it's going to come down. Sometimes you're there with your partner and you're like, all right, we know we're going to arrest this person, and like we're going to fight. It's on.
Well, I've heard of officers on a different thing. Like this guy sitting there and they just start stretching, doing the old stretching. Like, and the guy's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what? You're going to run. I don't want to pull a hammy or something.
Yeah. All right, let's finish this.
And that's on the set. It's gonna be a pleasure beating your bitch ass. It's my fucking fantasy. Talking, who the fuck you think you fucking with? I love this shit. To beat the motherfucking punk ass police ass
Keep
like
Like
talking,
you
bro.
do this, like you're gonna get fired for sure.
I mean,
You're like,
shit.
oh dang, dude, you're all right.
I think I told the story.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
By some
About a partner
drunk ass
getting
dude.
slapped, but like your first reaction is like, oh shit, that was a good hit, or that was funny. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm a cop. I gotta help him out.
Yeah. All right, yeah, back to my job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like how they were saying that. Yeah, if you start, tussling with some suspect like that, yeah, you're gonna get fired. Well, only if they find out, And maybe the suspect might give up your shit. They might rat you out. Your partner better not. Okay, in that case, Brian better not be ratting you out. But yeah, I just thought that was fascinating, and yeah, I mean, it's got to be kind of a tough situation there with cops because yeah, there are towns, there are areas where you're talking to them all calm, like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Yes. I totally understand what you're saying. And I appreciate your situation. It's very stressful. And I'm just going to need you to sit down. Okay. Just sit down over there. And, I know. My dad was the same way. He was very suspicious of cops and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I'm just going to need you to sit down over there and show me your hands, please. Okay. There's areas where that works. And then there's areas where that will not work. That pisses them off even more. Right. And so you have to say, hey, motherfucker, get your hands where I can see them. Sit the fuck down. All right. Get your bitch over here. Get her over here. Like you got to talk, like that, which to me is totally counterintuitive because that's not my personality whatsoever. I mean, I'm white boy Roy. I'm like that. I do not have that aggressive kind of like, hey man, motherfucker, you better fucking get my shit. I don't have that personality. Okay, that's not natural for me. So I would definitely have to fake it till I make it. But there are areas, like South Central, Watts, Philadelphia, South side of Chicago, where you probably have to talk somewhat like that in order for them to respect you. And as fucked up as that sounds, okay, because to me, Mr. Growing up in the cornfields of Iowa, I would think like, yes, sir, please, pretty please, with sugar on top. Will you please sit over there? To me, that sounds like that would get get the desired effect that much faster rather than sit the fuck down, so. But I don't know. It's not everywhere in the world is Iowa. Okay, so I realize that, or some other little rural area, that kind of thing. So it's a big world out there. Okay, that is for sure. That is for sure.
Damn.
Yep. All right. So, I'm going to break things up here a little bit and do that by telling you all about our tdpn.locals.com website right up there. TDPN stands for Till Death Podcast Network, and tdpn.locals.com. That's our website where we have all our fantastic content, like our videos and blogs and articles, all about movies and entertainment and booze, cocktail recipes, politics, hot button topics of the day, you name it. Okay, so you're probably not going to find any like fishing bait articles down there, but a lot of other stuff you'll find on tdpn.locals.com, presented to you in a way that you are not going to find anywhere else. Okay. And as you see down below, if you put in promo code TDPN, you're going to get 1 month free membership. Okay. And that gives you carte blanche, free reign. Okay. So you have full access to everything on tdpn.locals.com with that promo code for 1 month. And then after that, after your one free month is up, it's just a measly, paltry $3. Okay. $3 is nothing. Okay. That probably would let you order the entire dollar menu from McDonald's back in 1997. Okay. But, now in the time of Bidenomics, that probably gets you like one cheeseburger on the value menu, on the dollar menu, but still very cheap to get full access to tdpn.locals.com. So check it out. All right, everybody. And then also, while it's top of mind, go ahead and smash that like button down there if you would. Okay, so hit that like button on this episode if you are enjoying the end of watch spoilery discussion so far. And then also, if you haven't already, just pummel that pummel. That was a bad hand gesture. Hopefully that doesn't get clipped. Just kindly hit the subscribe or follow button down below if you haven't already, and just do that on whatever platform you're on. And then if you happen to catch me on like X or Rumble or Pilled or Facebook, go at YouTube, go ahead and follow or subscribe to me there. And then also if you DM me on X and you tell me, hey, this is Joe Blow, hey, I just followed you on these platforms, well, then I will go to those platforms and I will follow you as well. All right. Gab, that's another place you can follow me as well. And all of those locations, I'm under Movies Merica in all of those locations right there. Okay. And then also, get in the comments down below if you're watching this not live. Okay. So if you're not watching this live, do that as well. All right. So much more to say about End of Watch right here. And there's a number of emotional scenes, am I right? In End of Watch, I mean, like, the scene where they go to the house. It's the lady, she reports her 2 kids missing, and they roll up to the house and they see basically the wigged out, just blitzed out of her mind on drugs lady explaining to them, okay, I got a missing boy and a missing girl, and they're 2 and 1 is 3. Okay, she's like, her eyes are bugging out of her head, it's just like just hammered out of her gourd, or just high as a kite. And then you got the wasted space dude just passed out on the couch, and Mike has to keep on yelling at him, hey, show me your hands, just got to keep yelling at the guy. And then Brian proceeds to search throughout the house, because from what I'm gathering from Real Cops, just doing my research for this episode, common sense rules, okay, where in that situation where you get somebody reporting missing kids, well, it's good to subscribe to the old Occam's razor philosophy. Typically the simplest explanation is the most likely explanation. And so in that case, they would go and search the house instead of ruling the house out as a possible location for the kids. Of course, Brian searches the house and then finds the kids just horrifically locked up in a closet. Their mouths are duct taped. They're bound with duct tape there. And it's just sick and just breaks your heart, and, you want bad things to happen to those people. I mean, in all honesty, you don't want those people to...
It'll burn and burn and burn.
You want them to burn, baby. Okay. And it just pisses you off, and, just really drives home the point. Like, not everybody necessarily should be able to have kids. Not everybody. I know it goes against the freedom to do whatever you want kind of thing, but I'm just one of those guys. I'm like, I'm not exactly going to write a harshly worded letter to my congressman if someone enacts a program where we, I don't know, maybe do a IQ test before people are allowed to procreate, do a psychological test, a cognitive test, that kind of thing. We see where you live, what the conditions are, that kind of, basically kind of like, when you adopt a child, right? Kind of all the scrutiny you go through, maybe not that intense, but because we do have, these are innocent kids that we're dealing with here that are caught in the crossfire, where, being born in this world is like a game of Russian roulette. You just don't know. I mean, you could be lucky as hell and you're born to a billionaire family, or you could just get fucked, when you're born to some worthless excuse of a mother who didn't want you anyway. And she was like this close to heading to Planned Parenthood and murdering you. I mean, like, you could end up in that situation. Like, so why leave something as precious as children, up to those kind of odds, why play Russian roulette where you're either, born into a billionaire family or you're born into the meat grinder. Okay. So, if Congressman, Jerky Jerk, came out with a program and it was passed, a bill and it was passed and said, hey, we're going to do some testing to where people have to qualify to have kids, and then that kind of thing. I'm not exactly going to lose sleep on that right there. Okay, so now that doesn't mean if you get pregnant and you're not allowed to have kids that we're going to murder the baby. We're not aborting any kids here. Okay, we're not killing any kids. Planned Parenthood, don't get excited. No, they're going to have the kid, but it's going for adoption to somebody else. And, if you pay attention at all, there's a massive wait list for people that just unfortunately can't have any, kids of their own for whatever reason. And they want kids, to adopt right there. So that's what boggles the mind, where you get somebody that, they get knocked up and they don't want to have kids. And their first thought is, let's go to Planned Parenthood and let's let the baby killers there have at my baby. Whereas like, just have the baby. I know you're worried about stretch marks and all that stuff, but like have the baby and think about somebody else besides yourself for like 5 seconds in your life, right? And then that baby will be quickly adopted by a good family. And hey, you want to have that annoying baby, imposing on your career or your ability to shake your booty on Friday night. So, all right, but but yeah, so that scene with the mom, reporting the missing kids, that just kind of like maybe kind of just think of that whole rant that I just went off on. It got me thinking about that kind of thing. And because I got thinking about that, unfortunately, you guys had to hear about it. So, and then also another emotional scene is, after the fire rescue, when they get to the house on fire and, the mother's like, my babies are in there. And Mike, to his credit, he doesn't hesitate for a second. Okay. He is in that house and going to rescue the kids. And Brian, to be honest, he's just following Mike's lead in that situation. And that one, when they finally get the kids out there and they're just puking their guts out because of from inhaling all that smoke, and they're just in shock. They're just like, oh my God, we almost died there. That one got a lump in my throat when Mike and Brian are looking out for each other. The paramedics are trying to give them medical attention, and Mike's just like, back the fuck off. They're just looking out for each other because they're partners. They're best friends. Now I got a lump in my throat from that one. The other scene with the missing kids, that one just got me pissed. Okay. And of course, the end of this movie was the mother of all throat lump inducing scenes, or throat lump inducing scenes there, if I can say that right. That one was tough right there. But and you know what, with me yapping here, I've earned a little drink right here because I got to wet my whistle. So here we go. And that reminds me, if you guys you guys are drinking right now, it's a Thursday night, it's pre-Friday. Hopefully you basically you've punched your card for the day and work is done, and maybe you got a chance to kick your feet up and relax. And hopefully you're doing that with a beverage of choice right there. And as you can see, I am doing that because it's a very relaxing job of mine. I get to sit here on my butt and talk movies and then drink alcohol. Okay, so if you guys are drinking, raise a toast and join me in just kicking back here for this show here. But more End of Watch, plenty of End of Watch to talk about. And End of Watch came out in the early stages of the police demonization campaign that we still see nowadays. End of Watch, it came out in 2012, and that same year, that's the same year that Trayvon Martin was shot and killed when he attacked George Zimmerman in February of 2012. Now, I don't know if you could get this particular movie made now, since the police hate, since the police hate is actually much, much stronger even than it was back in 2012. I mean, it was plenty strong back then in certain areas, but I don't know if they could make this. I don't think they could make End of Watch nowadays. They couldn't make End of Watch 2. I mean, those movies would have to be an Angel Studios movie nowadays. So 2 years after End of Watch, Michael Brown and Ferguson, Missouri happened, and the Ferguson effect was born. You've probably heard of the Ferguson effect. You know, cops, even good ones won't step in to help people as much as they used to. Why not? Well, they're not going to volunteer to put their head into the guillotine for some cop-hating police chief or mayor or prosecutor being a useful idiot in the name of dividing and destroying America. They're not going to do that. They're not going to put their heads in a noose. They're going to make it easy on some law enforcement hating bureaucrat or douchebag just trying to rise to the top of the law enforcement or political corporate ladder. They're not going to make it easy on them. I mean, that cop hesitation, that resistance, that's the Ferguson effect. And more people die or are violated in other ways because cop-hating elites that live safely away from the carnage gave birth to the Ferguson effect. You know, good cops are retiring early or transferring to a town where their superiors aren't trying to get them killed in prison, to be honest. I mean, it's if you're a cop and you're on the job, I mean, it's dangerous enough. It used to be it was dangerous enough when you had to worry about perps, right? You had to worry about the criminals. Now you have to worry about your boss and your boss's boss and your boss's boss's boss. You got to worry about the media. You got to worry about the quote unquote good guys. They got to worry about all these armchair quarterbacks, these Monday morning quarterbacks, looking to, nail your ass. Okay. I mean, can you imagine having a job like that? I mean, do you imagine having a job like that where you've got just thousands, if not millions of people like telling you that's the wrong way to do your job. Okay. If I did your job, I'd do it much better. Knowing damn well they wouldn't do a better job. People that, Monday morning quarterback, the way cops conduct themselves, where, there's a shooting and it turns out to be a good shooting. Like the cop was forced to shoot this suspect because the suspect drew their gun first, and hey, the cop was in a kill or be killed situation. When like the Monday morning quarterback that isn't smart enough to realize that that's a kill or be killed situation. There's too many of those people out there. So can you imagine having a job like that where you got all these people just second guessing you, especially when your job is a life or death job where if you hesitate for a second because you're thinking, gee, what would Anderson Cooper like me to do? Boom, you're dead. Okay. You can't afford to take a second and go, man, what would Lester Holt want me to do in this situation? What would Joe Biden want me to do right here in this situation? This guy is just pointing his gun at me. Man, I don't know. Like, what would the leftist media want me to do right there? By the time you think about that, you're ventilated. You got a hole in your head. You got a hole in your heart. You're dead. Okay. Just get ready for the flag draped casket. Okay. So you get all those people that are just second guessing everything you're doing right there. I can't imagine having a job like that. So, but I said, like I said, good cops are retiring early because of the Ferguson effect. Good cops like Brian and Mike in End of Watch. I mean, you should pray they're the cops that are patrolling your area, not some twitchy, trigger-happy hard-on who only got into the force because they had to lower the hiring standards because most, if not all, the good cops said, bye-bye. And now they have to hire people with criminal records. I mean, you can thank cop-hating thugs and especially the liberal media for creating this dire situation. Of course, they all live in gated communities with armed protection, so they don't have to feel the storm from the Ferguson effect. You do. You and your family do. You and your loved ones have to deal with that crap right there. I mean, they don't have to. I mean, it's Lester Holt. He's in a gated community. He doesn't have to go. He's not worried about that right there. I mean, Anderson Cooper, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer. I mean, all the people that basically want cops not to be able to do a damn thing to protect you. They know that that's going to cause destruction and death and all that, but they know that death and destruction will never touch them. That's why it's easy for them to make those rules that put your family in the crosshairs right there. So, but all right. So I'm getting kind of thirsty here, everybody. I'll be quite honest with you. I mean, we're all about honesty here, and so I'm getting a little thirsty. And I hear everybody here.
I'm drunk. You're drunk. Everybody's drunk.
Yeah, I want to get in on that drunk action right there. Well, maybe not the drunk action. I'm kind of a more of a, hey, I just drink, to maybe get a little buzz on, but just to have a good time. But I'm not looking to get hammered. I'm beyond those days right there. But I am not beyond doing a little brew review time. All right, everybody. So for tonight's brew here, I most definitely do not have, one of those obscure beers that you see me sometimes here on Brew Review Time, or review here. Now, I have a classic, a very ubiquitous beer here. And if you went to public school, ubiquitous means everywhere, all the time. That's what ubiquitous means. All right. So, yeah. Shinerbach comes to us from, of course, Shiner, Texas. And this is just an American-style lager here, an amber lager. And it's made with German specialty malts. So that's why it's a Bock, okay? And a Bock is basically a German-style lager. That's where the word Bock comes from. And it's got this amber color to it. You can't tell from right now because it's in a can right there, or maybe you can tell from the color of the can. It's got this amber color with it, but it's got notes of roasted nuts and caramel. But the notes are very, very slight when it comes to the caramel flavor to it. So don't think that you're drinking some shake or some chocolate shake or some malt or something like that. It's nothing like that. But so this is a 4.4% alcohol by volume. It's got an IBU rating. That's International Bitterness Units. It's got an IBU rating of 13. Okay, so meaning it's not very hoppy. That's what bitterness IBU measures, is how hoppy, how bitter is the beer. And so because it's a lager, it's not an IPA, it's a lager. It's not very very high in the IBU scale. So, but this is a great just chilling out on the beach or at the pool, or coming off your riding mower after mowing that big ass lawn for 3 hours. Okay, and you just need to cool down with something. Hey, Shinerbach, you could do a lot worse. And I'm not getting any money from Shiner Brewing. Okay, I'm not. It's totally impartial, objective opinion. I just I like Shiner. Hey, I live in Texas. You gotta like Shiner here. Okay, so kind of like you have to like Buc-ee's, and you have to like Shinerbach. Okay, so and you have to like barbecue as well. So, so Shinerbach, get yourself some. You could get it pretty much anywhere, but probably you live in New England, you could probably get yourself some Shinerbach. But all right, enough yapping about it. I'm going to take a tug off this big old grain silo size beer can here. So here we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll yield some beer burps there, unfortunately there. So, which is normally not a big deal, but when you're a live streamer, it kind of interrupts the old process right there. Okay, so it's a little fly in the ointment when you're doing that. But oh well, I'll survive. I think I'll make it again. Like I said before, I'm just sitting here in a chair talking movies, drinking some brew and hanging out with my friends, which are you. Okay, you're my friends here joining me on the live chat right there. Okay. So hey, let's wrap up this brew review. There we go. Let's try it again. Let's wrap up this brew review time. All right, I see we got Major Adams joining us here in the live chat on Pilled. Welcome there, Major Adams. Okay, welcome there. And the people they brought here, they won't care where Lester Holt lives. So they won't care exactly. Yeah, they're not. There's gonna be plenty of areas. There's beer burp number one. There's gonna be too many areas to get to before they get to Lester Holt's area. And Lester Holt is well aware of that. Okay. He knows that he's going to be getting to your neighborhood first. And so that's why he has no problem with sitting up on his pseudo high horse, his pseudo moralistic high horse, and going, we should take care of all the illegal Wait, let me back up. He wouldn't call them illegal immigrants. That's the proper term, but he wouldn't call them a proper term. He would call them undocumented migrants or something like that. Some sugar-coated, innocuous term that is meant to make you feel sorry for these people where their very first act in our country is breaking one of our laws right there. So, but Lester Holt, he knows that, him and his family, they're not going to be in the crossfire. They're not going to be, having to live through the shitstorm that you will have to live through and whatnot. So, and that goes for him and every other douchebag, waste of oxygen, left-wing media type out there. Okay. So they don't care. Because to them, okay, you guys, you and your family pretty much are.
She's gone from suck to blow.
That's what they think about you. Okay. So even when you're watching their news broadcasts, and they have that facial expression like they act like they care what you think. Okay, so no, they don't care about you. They don't care about you 1 second. But great point, Major Adams. Appreciate their perspective on that right there. So, but all right, so we should move on here. Talk about a little bit more end of watch, shall we? I mean, that's that's the movie of the week right there, and. I mean, one of the things I really appreciate about this movie is just the banter in the black and white, right? I mean, I could ride around for days with Brian and Mike and chop it up with them. I mean, their conversations in the car come off as so real. And, I think like David Ayer, the director of this movie and the writer, the sole writer of this movie, I'm betting dollars to donuts, speaking of cops, that he did, plenty of ride-alongs with cops, plenty of interviews, did the research as he was writing the screenplay. And, I guess he probably would have had to do it before the screenplay because I think he said he wrote the screenplay in like 6 days or something like that. It's a very, very, very short amount of time. But, I'm sure he did a number of ride-alongs and picked up that, hey, this is the way that cops talk to each other. And to me, it kind of came off kind of like, if you're in a blue collar job, especially like if you're in a factory or something like that, you say you work at some welding shop or someone, that's the way that's the way dudes talk to each other, right? Is the way that Brian and Mike talk to each other in this. And, you got them talking about Brian's dating life in contrast to Mike being married to Gabby and only ever being with Gabby. It's just like that part where Brian is bitching about his dating life and Mike is pointing out to him like, I went to prom and then a week later I was married and I haven't tapped anything but Old Faithful for the last 8 years. So I don't even know what you're bitching about. Okay. So he's like, he's shaking his head. Like, what are you bitching about, Brian? Like you get to, you get to switch, you just get to switch, honeys that, you dip your toe into. You get to switch around all the time. You get to play the field. I don't get to play the field, but from what I'm gathering from Mike, he doesn't want to play the field. He's perfectly happy with Gabby and whatnot. But, you know, and then, of course, they play pranks on each other, you know, in their black and white and just give each other shit. You know, and then they're trying to stay awake by guzzling gallons of coffee and Red Bull. And then I like how Mike says he may look like the guys at Home Depot, but he can't do what the dudes at Home Depot do. After he's talking about how Gabby just dared to ask him to help around the house, you know, maybe fix some doors or put up some shades or some blinds or something like that, or clean out the garage or, you know, skim the pool or something like that. How dare she do that, right? And so he goes off on this whole rant about, hey, I may look like the guys at, you know, the dudes at Home Depot, but that doesn't mean I can do what the dudes at Home Depot do. Right there. But, and then, you know, you have to imagine that Brian and Mike have been chopping it up like this for years in their black and white, right? They've been patrolling the, you know, the streets, the mean streets of South Central together for years. And it just makes what happens to Mike at the end just even more tragic and crushing to Brian, I'm sure. Not to mention, of course, you know, Gabby, Mike's wife, and Mike's family. But you just you know, picture that, because we just got a little snapshot, right? If you just picture, you pretend that Brian and Mike are real characters, right? I mean, this movie would just be like kind of a snapshot of their time hanging out and being partners and putting their lives on the line for each other, that kind of thing. And then, you know, what happens to Mike, you know, him being killed at the end, it just makes you like,
no, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yep. That was my reaction at the end. And I had a feeling like as rough and, you know, as gritty as this movie is, I had a feeling they weren't going to let this movie end without one of these characters dying, right? And then they do the old fake out. They do the old switcheroo, right? When they're in the alley and Brian gets shot, you know, and he gets shot, looks like pretty close to his heart, right? And Mike knows what's up. Mike's like, God, it's not good. It's not good. And you hear him not lie to Mike, you know, where I think like Brian says, it's bad. Is it bad? And Mike says, it's bad. It's bad. You know, but, you know, you've seen, you know, weaker cops, you know, pull through or something like that, right? And you get Mike, and he's, you know, they're in this dark alley, pitch black, dark alley, and no cops in sight, you know. And at that point, I mean, I was yelling too. I was kind of yelling like, where the fuck are all these cops? What the hell? Like, how many cops do you have in the forest? My God, this is South Central. Like, you should have a friggin', you know, a armada, a battalion of cops. Like, what the hell? Like, where are all these damn cops at? But I mean, I guess LA, I mean, it's a big city. I've been there, you know, multiple times. It's a big city, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating, right? And, you know, you're just like, what the hell? Like, where are all these cops? And you just feel Mike's desperation, you know, where he's like, his partner, his best friend is there dying, and he's got the cavalry's not showing up, right? And it's a scary scene right there. And then, you know, you feel Mike's aggravation, his desperation, and then you hear that sound of that glass bottle being kicked at the end, and you're like, oh shit, like, who's behind him? And you know already, you know who's behind him, you know what's about to go down, unfortunately. And Mike does as well. Okay, so Mike knows, like, I'm taking my last breaths ever right now. And next thing you know, unfortunately, those you know, those twisted, fucked up gangbangers just unload all their mags on poor old Mike right there. So, and you're just like, ugh. It's gut wrenching, right? It's gut wrenching. And you think that Brian is dead, right? You know, because you know, looks like he was gone. He wasn't moving whatsoever. And then they do the old switcheroo at the end, and you see they cut to all the squad cars, the funeral procession, and you see the casket with the flag, and all of a sudden, boom! All of a sudden, oh, whoa, hey, there's Brian. There's Brian. He's alive. What the hell, and obviously it quickly dawns on you. It's quickly made apparent that okay, we knew Mike was dead because like where he was at, he was in a prone position. He was just getting shot up. They turned him into Swiss cheese. Unfortunately, no one's walking away from that. And so Mike is gone, but Brian somehow, well, we pretty much know how he made it. I mean, Mike looking out for his partner. I mean, Mike was kind of his shield in that situation, or was a shield in that situation. And then, of course, since Brian was immobilized and wasn't moving, the gangbangers, being the idiots that they were, they just assumed that Brian was dead already. And thankfully they didn't, take another kill shot at Brian. And, Brian lived, but just heartbreaking. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you just don't know how he's going to make it through. I mean, he's going to have to make it through. He's going to have to get another partner and, live to fight another day, but it's going to be hell for a while. Right. And then of course, especially for Gabby and Mike's family, just kid just born. Oh, tough, man. Tough. Again.
No, God, please, no.
So, but yeah, so that's what made that ending was so tough, is just because you just know that, Brian and Mike, these characters, were, partners, best friends, for life, right? So for a long, long time. But all right. So okay, so that's that's End of Watch right there. And hey, again, if you want to talk about End of Watch, you want to get in the live chat with me right now and chop it up about End of Watch, because I know I'm not the only one that's seen this movie. I know a lot of people have seen this movie, and it's your chance to talk some End of Watch with me right now, okay? Because I love to talk this movie. This is one of my favorites of all time. I mean, forget police dramas. Favorite movies of all time right there. I mean, it's just because it's a roller coaster of emotions, right? You're at one point you're like, oh my God, and the next second you're like, ha ha, that's hilarious. And the next thing you know, you got a big lump in your throat. I mean, this movie is it's a glass case of emotion, man. Okay. And End of Watch, you've got your hands full. You've got your hands full in this, and it's so captivating in this right there. You're never going to say,
I got to go tinkle.
Nope. It's got your attention the entire time right there. Okay. So, and then also, if you're not checking out this show live and you got thoughts about End of Watch, hey, get down in the comments down below. Okay. Get in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you all about End of Watch right there. Okay. All right. So let's do this here. I want to introduce you to a cherished sponsor of the show right there. And that cherished sponsor has a name, and that name is Flip City Magazine. And right now you may be asking yourself, like, what kind of magazine is Flip City? What is that? Is that like a real estate flipping magazine or something like that? Nope. Far from it. It is today's equivalent of what Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine back in the day used to be. Remember the funny magazines? Mad, Alfred E. Newman, all that stuff. Well, Mad Magazine and Cracked, they allowed themselves to get assimilated into the woke Borg. Okay, so now they're not so much about making you laugh as they are about teaching you a lesson, young man. All right, they have some woke talking points to teach you all about, okay, with Mad Magazine and Cracked, where a magazine like Flip City, well, you know what, they don't have their head up their ass and think like, they're qualified to teach you how to live your life and what you need to believe. They just want to make you giggle, okay? They want to give you some hilarious entertainment, okay? But enough about me telling you about Flip City. Let's hear from them.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
Oh yeah. So they break it down right there for you what Flip City has in store for you right there. And as you see down below, we're making it easy for you as far as how to get yourself some Flip City, how to get your hands on Flip City. And you can do that by clicking on the Flip City link down in the description right there. Click on that Flip City link down there and grab yourself some Flip City. And while you're down there grabbing, okay, while you're getting grabby, put in promo code MOVIES down there, and that's going to get you 10% off your order of the best non-woke comic around. Okay, so you're going to get yourself some issues of Flip City just like this right here. Okay, you got some good stuff right there. I mean, check out the artwork. You got a little nerd-rotic right there. We all know nerd-rotic from YouTube and Rumble, right? So, and so all kinds of great, hilarious articles and cartoons and all that in there. Okay, so, and believe me, I read it through cover to cover because, quite honestly, I used to read Mad Magazine and Cracked all the time, and it took me on a trip down memory lane. So that's why I like to flip through some Flip City magazine. So get yourself some of that funny. All right, let's do it. Okay, so let me remind you guys here. So again, if you're on Pilled, go ahead and get in the live chat right there. And let me know what you think about End of Watch. Let me know what you think about Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Pena, anything that I've said so far. Maybe you've heard what I've said and you're like, man, you are fucking on crack, man. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're high. Stop with the talking points, Van. All right. So stop being such a right-wing schlub, whatever. Or maybe you'd be like, yeah, Van, you tell them right there. Thank you for speaking truth. There's someone that, live chat in there about, hey, I like End of Watch, but this is my favorite cop movie. Tell me about your favorite cop movie or your favorite cop in movies in general. Whatever comes to mind, okay? Or maybe let me know of a headline that involves cops, either today or in the past that pissed you off or you found cool. Or maybe you heard a story about a cop doing, something cool for somebody, helping an old lady carry groceries across the street or saving some babies like we saw in End of Watch or something like that. So, you have carte blanche. You have free reign in the live chat on Pilled, on Rumble, on YouTube. Get after it, okay? So that it's your chance. And if you're in the live chat on Pilled later on, I am going to be releasing a shitload of gold pills in the live chat right there. So I'm going to be releasing the scratching, you know it, but only if there's people in the live chat. If there's not, ain't doing that. I ain't doing that shit. All right, so you know what? It is time, I believe, for my favorite segment of every Movies Merica spoiler warning episode right there, and that, of course, is the movie military moment right there. And before I get into that, let me take a tug off my little shiner right here because I can feel a frog building up on my throat here. So here we go. There we go. Get that frog out of my throat right there. I gotta be able to talk, people. All right. So, but yeah, the movie military moment is my favorite segment, and just for the uninitiated, just for the people that haven't checked out a episode before, what the movie military moment is, where I just take a few minutes out to honor a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Okay. Now, right now, rightfully, understandably, you may be asking yourself, like, what does that have to do with movies? Well, allow me to tell you, good sir, good madam. So, as you would imagine, in order to be the recipient of a Congressional Medal of Honor, whatever you did has to be something that is just so eye-popping, so shocking, so what's so exciting, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? It's just something so awesome to behold. Like say you're a helicopter pilot in Vietnam or something like that, and you're flying into a hot LZ to evacuate the wounded, and you got people telling you, like, don't go to LZ, that's a hot LZ, you might die and whatnot, and you're like, fuck that, I'm getting in there, I'm saving those wounded, I'm getting those wounded out of there, right? And I'm bringing some ammo down to the troops, all right? And so you're a pilot like that, and that's, if you were to see that on a movie screen, it would just be like this eye-popping moment, right? A movie military moment, okay? And that's the connection, okay? It's just a movie military moment where you're just like, wow, this is great. I'm glad I paid my $17 for this movie. Wow, so that's why I call it the movie military moment. That is the connection. And really, I shouldn't really need to make a connection to honor our brave men and women that have sacrificed something, including sometimes they've given all their last full measure of devotion in some cases. Not to say that everyone that's been a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient has paid the ultimate price, but a lot have, okay? So that being said, let's get into this movie military moment. But as you would imagine, a honoree for the movie military moment, they deserve their own music. So let's do it. This is the movie military moment. And for this movie military moment, our proud honoree is one Sergeant Alan Louis Eggers, who served in World War I, specifically in France during World War I. And let's learn more about one Sergeant Alan Louis Eggers showing. Becoming separated from their platoon by a smoke barrage, Sergeant Eggers, Sergeant John C. Latham, and Corporal Thomas E. O'Shea took cover in a shell hole well within the enemy's lines. Upon hearing a call for help from an American tank, which had become disabled 30 yards from them, the three soldiers left their shelter and started toward the tank, under heavy fire from German machine guns and trench mortars. In crossing the fire-swept area, Corporal O'Shea was mortally wounded, but his companions, undeterred, proceeded to the tank, rescued a wounded officer, and assisted two wounded soldiers to cover in a sap of a nearby trench. Sergeant Eggers and Sergeant Latham then returned to the tank in the face of the violent fire, dismounted a Hotchkiss gun, and took it back to where the wounded men were, keeping off the enemy all day by effective use of the gun, and later bringing it with the wounded men back to our lines under cover of darkness. And Sergeant Eggers does reflect the highest honors, the integrity, the bravery that should be a staple of the United States Army. He met that and qualified for that in droves. So we salute you, Sergeant Alan Louis Eggers, for doing what you did to preserve our freedom and our way of life. And that has been the movie military moment. All right, so absolutely captivating. I absolutely love that there. And if you happen to know the family or any friends of Sergeant Alan Louis Eggers, I mean, I'm sure he's passed on. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. But if you happen to know the family or any friends of Sergeant Eggers, let them know about this. I would think that they would be moved, at the very least, to hear that someone else is honoring their loved one, their friend, and may enjoy checking out my tribute, my measly little tribute to their loved one or their friend right there. So definitely do that. It makes me feel good just picturing them checking out this tribute right there, and basically getting some pleasure from that. Okay, so being touched, being moved by that. That's just fantastic. So, all right. So let me take this chance here just to put a little bug in your ear and let you know that, hey, if you guys are appreciating what I'm doing here enough to throw a buck or two my way, then you most certainly can do that. I am not going to fight you off, if you want to do exactly that. And so allow me to tell you some ways that you can do that. So if you're on Pilled, you can give me what's called gold pills. And in the Pilled world, gold pills equate to moolah. Okay, so you can give me money. And that's the way that I like it that way, because, if you do it on YouTube, then YouTube, they take a big old bite out of that. And Rumble can sometimes be a pain in the ass in that regard too. But if you have to use Rumble, then you can give me what's called a Rumble rant. And the way you give me a Rumble rant is down by where you type in your live chat message. Just click on the button with the $sign on it, and just choose how much you'd like to donate my way, and boom, that's it. Very, very easy. And then if you're on YouTube, you can give me what's called a super chat. And the way to give me a super chat is down again by where you type in your live chat message. Just click on the button with a $sign, and that's where you can choose to give me a buck or two or $500 if you want. Okay, so wowie zowie if you did that, right? But again, that's only if you are so inclined. I'm not going to guilt trip you into giving me money like some content creators do. They piss and moan, and you're not very classy if you watch my show and you don't give me money. Like, I'm not going to be those homo. I'm not going to be those guys. Okay, so hell no. But just thought I'd just mention that just in case you are so inclined right there. But end of watch. Let's talk about a little bit more end of watch right there here. And, I think David Ayer, the director, he grew up in South Central, and you see that in a lot of his movies here. I mean, he feels a connection to that area, and he brings that into a lot of his movies, like Harsh Times. Remember that with Christian Bale, and Street Kings with Keanu Reeves and Forrest Whitaker and Chris Evans before he was Captain America. But Harsh Times and Street Kings, those all seem like the appetizers to End of Watch. And End of Watch is actually like the main course, right, in this ferocious feast of LA ghetto griminess. And I mean, you can just smell the raunch, right? The smoke, the assorted, you don't even want to know smells of this hood, right? It's a kind of area where if you're using Google Maps or Waze and you end up in this area, you curse out Google Maps or Waze for leading you there if you happen to be in those apps. You're using that whole shortest distance possible mode, right? Now, Ayer exposes the world to this area, right? To Compton, South Central, Watts, all that. Sort of like John Singleton did with Boys in the Hood, or the Hughes brothers did with Menace to Society. And that's why the scenes when Brian and Mike aren't in this shithole, like when Brian and Janet are on a road trip, outside the city, they're like headed towards like Santa Barbara or something like that, and they're singing "Hey Ma," right? Or when they're all at a quinceanera, suited and booted, dressed to the nines, and it's surreal, right? It's like, whoa, this is a totally different environment from the shithole that they're rolling around in their black and white in, right? So, and it makes you appreciate that your particular job, it most likely isn't a job where you have to play zookeeper with a population of ghetto gargoyles all trying to kill each other and you. Now, last time I checked, I don't have to deal with gangbangers rolling around with Liberace's AK or blinged out 1911s, all dying, just absolutely dying to turn me into Swiss cheese along with them, right? And I think another realistic aspect to the movie is how all the other cops in the precinct bust each other's balls. But in the end, are all friends, right? You see them giving each other, wheelbarrows, full of shit. But then, when Brian and Janet get married, who's at the wedding? Hey, all their compadres, their fellow officers, well, except for the unpromotable Van Houser, played by the much more famous now David Harbour, okay, which David Harbour, probably the most recent thing you saw him in was in the fantastic movie called Gran Turismo. But also you see that Brian and Mike and the other cops, they don't back down for a second to the waste of oxygen, the curbside cartel useful idiots that try to be badass in this movie. Those dumbass vatos that are rolling around in the minivan, talking all tough and whatnot. So, and basically just useful idiots for the cartels. And Brian and Mike and the other cops, they're not having it. They're not going to put up with the curbside shit, right? And they know how to let off steam, right? They let off steam at Brian and Janet's wedding, but they don't let it slip when it's time to be serious and do the job. And it just makes you like the characters, particularly Brian and Mike, and and care about what happens to them in End of Watch. So it's David Ayer as the director and writer of End of Watch, just knocked it out of the park with this. And it's a great movie, fantastic movie. And I could never watch End of Watch. Yeah, I can never watch End of Watch too many times right there with that. So it's a fantastic movie. And, it's like you got a lot of movies where, you go to see them and it's pretty much like
Crash and burn, huh, Mav?
But not End of Watch, okay? It's good to go, and you won't be sorry to check out that movie here. So, all right, let me do a little due diligence right here and make sure and check, cross my T's and dot my I's and all that stuff right there. I think we are good to go. All right, so right now I have got a special treat for you. I'm going to pull a little audible, though, okay? Because I know that I said that I'm going to talk about the top 5 Jake Gyllenhaal movies, okay? But when I put that down in the description and all that, I sent all that out. Not long after I sent that out, I realized, oh shit, yeah, that's right. I already did the top 5 Jake Gyllenhaal movies when I did my review for The Covenant back last year. Okay, so remember the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, The Covenant, from I think it was like springtime of 2023. And I already went through my Jake Gyllenhaal top 5 then. So I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, all right, time to call an audible and do the Michael Pena top 5, which Michael Pena, he deserves a top 5, I think. I mean, he's been in a lot of great movies and he's given a lot of great performances in a lot of great movies right there. So he deserves his due. So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 Michael Pena movies. Yes, let's do it. And as usual with my top 5 list, we're going to work our way down. I'll work my way down from top 5 to number 1. And as you heard there, I should get a drink. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Shine don't fail me now. Wet that whistle. All right, so let's do this here. Let's not waste any time. And so my number 5 Michael Pena movie is The Martian. Yes, The Martian. So in this, he plays the pilot of in a crew of astronauts, American astronauts that are on a mission to Mars. Okay, and of course, part of the crew is we have Matt Damon as the main character, Mark Watney, Jessica Chastain's in this movie. Jessica Chastain. There we go. I think I said Jessica Chastain's, plural. You've got Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, in this. Some other faces. Oh, Sean Bean. Yeah, Ned Stark is in this movie, right? Ned Stark, Kristen Wiig, Jeff Daniels, one half of Dumb and Dumber. Who else is in this? Blah, 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 blah. Donald Glover is in this. It's directed by Ridley Scott. Okay, the premise is that this crew, they're on Mars. Big storm is about to hit. They got to hightail it off of Mars, and in their attempt to leave their base and get into the ship to take off from Mars, some debris hits Matt Damon. They think he's dead. They either search for him and get everybody killed, or they have to assume that he's dead and get as many people off the planet as they possibly can save. And then later on, they find out, oh shit, Matt Damon, he is not dead. Okay, he just got his clock rocked, but he's not dead. And so later on, they find out, oh shit, he's alive. And then the movie turns out to be all about this big, rescue mission to try to rescue Matt Damon's character off of Mars and get him safely to Earth, right? And so again, Michael Pena is the pilot in this, and it's hilarious. I mean, who is it? Is it oh God, who's the Drew Goddard? Drew Goddard is a screenwriter for The Martian, and he just writes this fun, informative, enticing, intriguing screenplay with a lot of fun back and forth between Michael Pena and Matt Damon and the rest of the crew, because they're in a dangerous situation. They're on Mars. I mean, shit could go sideways at any time. And so you got to keep everybody loose and relaxed so they can do their job. And so Michael Pena and Matt Damon, they bust each other's balls on Mars, kind of like Brian and Mike bust each other's balls, in Compton or in South Central, right? And Michael Pena is fantastic in this movie because he does that perfect mix of knowing when it's time to be serious and get down to business, and then when to just kind of kick back, just kind of let loose a little bit and not be so uptight. And he does that in a lot of his movies, okay? And Michael Pena is a master of that. So I really like him in The Martian. And if you have not seen The Martian, check it out. Check it out, okay? It's a fantastic movie. It's a total departure from for Ridley Scott, from his historical period piece movies like Gladiator and Kingdom of Heaven and those kind of movies. It's a contemporary movie. So The Martian is my number 5 Michael Pena movie. All right, so moving on to number 4. And this is Michael Pena in the movie Crash, okay? The Best Picture winning movie Crash, okay, which pisses off a lot of people, okay? If you're on movie Twitter or movie X now, if you're a film nerd, you hear left and right, top to bottom, north and south, east and west, a lot of people just pissing on Crash for winning Best Picture. Okay, they always say, oh, it's the least deserving Best Picture Oscar winner ever, right? And to me, I'm like, come on, it's a great movie. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's a very emotional movie, and but you know how that is, right? You get some haters, starting to pour out the haterade, and that spreads like fucking wildfire, and you get a bunch of people, and it starts to be trendy, right? It's the trendy, edgy thing to do is to piss on a movie that is otherwise good, right there. So now, don't get me wrong, there's some movies that deserve to be pissed on, Madam Web, shit like that, right? But Crash is not one of those movies, okay? And we have Michael Pena, and he plays, a father that he is his character actually might live in South Central. Okay, he might be a character that is in the neighborhood that Brian and Mike and End of Watch patrol, right? But in this one, Michael Pena, he plays like this locksmith, just a hard-working, honest guy, just doing a hard-working, honest job as a locksmith, and living in the hood or the barrio in this case. And in this scene that we see in this picture here, so that's his daughter hiding underneath her bed, and she's hiding underneath her bed because like I said, they live in this rough neighborhood, and she heard a gunshot, right? And I guess they had a gun. They had a gunshot like go through her window or go through her wall or something like that before this, if I'm remembering correctly. So of course that's traumatizing to a child, right? And so he comes home from work one night and he finds his daughter, his little girl underneath the bed, and he's talking to her. He's trying to comfort her like a good dad should, and it's just a very heartwarming scene, very touching scene. And you're like, and I think this is the very first time I ever saw Michael Pena. So later on, when I saw him in more comedic roles, I was like, oh, okay, this is a different side of me. Because the first time I ever saw Michael Pena was in this very, very serious role in Crash, which is pretty much it's a movie whose main themes are, like how we're racist towards each other. We make a lot of racist assumptions about each other, and we cause our own racial tolerance and tension, from whether it's, from the streets, the barrio, all the way up to, the highest levels of law enforcement and city management. And so it's racism everywhere, right? And so anyway, I was about to go off on a tangent there, but thankfully I will spare you that. But so that's pretty much the main drive and the main gist of the movie Crash here. No, not the David Cronenberg movie from 20, 25 years ago. Not that movie. Not that Crash. This is the Paul Haggis directed movie Crash here. Again, the one that won the Best Picture Oscar. And so yeah, Michael Pena he's just one of an ensemble of characters in this, and I think that, to me, I think that the scene that really drove home the point that Michael Pena gives a powerhouse performance in this movie is this scene right here that's pictured here with his daughter, and it's just a fantastic scene, and you hope that every little girl in the world has a dad like this, okay? Whether they live in the barrio or they live in the suburbs or they live in, the Hamptons, wherever, okay? You hope that every child has a dad like Michael Pena's character in Crash. But yeah, check out Crash. I know you may have heard, people shitting all over this movie, but you know what? Judge for yourself, think for yourself, judge for yourself, and check out Crash. It's a good movie. And yeah, so with that said, let's move on to number 3, and that is World Trade Center. And World Trade Center is the story of a couple of Port Authority cops during 9/11 that got caught in the rubble of the World Trade Center towers collapsing, of course, obviously, during 9/11. And so Michael Pena plays Will Jimeno. Again, like I said before, I'm White Boy Roy from Iowa. Okay, I don't know. I'm probably butchering that last name. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I'm going to go with Will Jimeno. And Michael Pena just does a solid, captivating job, a very emotional job, a very stalwart. He gives a very stalwart performance as Will Jimeno. Again, as a Port Authority. I believe it's a Port Authority. I don't think it's NYPD. I think it's Port Authority. Yeah, it says Port Authority right there on his badge. And who gets caught in the rubble of the collapsed towers during 9/11. And him and Nicolas Cage are a couple of officers that they're caught in the rubble alive, of course, and but unfortunately a lot of their brothers and sisters, firemen, other cops, weren't so lucky, and and they gave their lives rescuing people. But in the case of Will, and John McLaughlin is the name of Nicolas Cage's character, and in the case of Will and John, they're just trapped there, just having a hope to God that someone comes along and rescues them out of the rubble. And the rubble that they're in, you see the rubble that they're in World Trade Center, and you're like, holy shit, these guys are going to die down here. It's all completely dark. It's like, fuck, are they 200 feet buried below the surface? Are they 20 feet below? Are they 10 feet below? God knows. I mean, we're talking about 110-story towers collapse right on top of them. Think of all that debris, right? I mean, you don't have to think about it. Obviously, we all saw it, right? And so you're like, holy shit! Like these guys, they don't know when they're getting rescued. Plus, on top of that, they're in excruciating pain. And then during the process of the movie, the course of the movie, they have other towers collapsing, right? Was it Tower 7 also collapsed? So they're trapped underneath there, long enough to where they have to deal with that tower collapsing. And then that tower collapsing affects the debris, the rubble they're in. So then they get the rubble that they're trapped in moves around and potentially kills them or makes their injuries worse or whatever, and I was about to give up the shit on one scene and what happens to a character, but I won't spoil it. There might be some people that haven't seen World Trade Center, but this movie is one of those movies where it just gives that hopeless feeling there for a while. Like, holy shit! And then you remember, like, okay, this is a movie. There something heartwarming is going to happen at the end. Like they can't all die, right? And so you start feeling hope. But this is a movie where you watch it. It's a 9/11 movie where you watch it and it just pisses you off all over again. What Al Qaeda and these extremist piece of shit, worthless wastes of oxygen terrorists that committed this murderous tragedy right there. It just gets you all pissed off again right there. And hey, we've got Mabel 313. And salute to you. Good to see you, friend. Welcome to the show right there. And hopefully you're enjoying my top 5 Michael Pena list right there. And then, interestingly enough, so guess who plays Michael Pena's wife in this movie, okay? His wife is played by Maggie Gyllenhaal in World Trade Center. So in End of Watch, he's partners with Jake Gyllenhaal, Maggie's brother. And then, what would that be? So like 6 years, 6 years before End of Watch, he's in World Trade Center, playing the husband to Jake's sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal. And so just a little useless trivia there about Michael Pena. But World Trade Center, it's directed by Oliver Stone. And it does the way that the writing in this movie, the screenplay really makes a point of really concentrating on the wives and the family of Will and John and all the basically just the hell that they have to go through and just how distraught and how desperate they're feeling because they know at first they're like they don't know if their loved ones were in the towers when they collapsed. Maybe they're at the back of the precinct or something like that. But then maybe they think, hey, maybe they are in the debris and they could be crushed to death. Maybe they're alive and they're trapped, or whatever. And it really focuses on the wives of John and Will in this, and so it just gives you that extra emotional heft, that extra emotional weight to World Trade Center. And so by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're frazzled, you're distraught, and we just want some good news, right? And this movie also has some great character actors in it. It's got Stephen Dorff. Okay, you probably know him, as the bad vampire in Blade, right? And other movies, plenty of other movies. It's got Michael Shannon in this movie as well. Michael Shannon, of course, later on he plays Zod in Man of Steel and in a number of other movies Michael Shannon is in. And who else is in this movie? You've got Maria Bello. I think she plays Nicolas Cage's wife in this. So Jay Hernandez plays another cop here. Jay Hernandez, you might know him. He stars in the new Hawaii Five-0, which I don't know if Magnum PI. He's in the Magnum PI. The new Magnum PI. I don't know if that show's even on anymore. So one of those movies where you're going to watch a movie like, oh, I know that character. I know that guy, right? So, that guy. So, and the movie's directed by Oliver Stone. So it's got that Oliver Stone gravitas behind this movie here. But it's if you have somebody like maybe you have a kid that wasn't even born during 9/11, because 9/11 was 20, coming up on 23 years ago. Yeah, 23 years ago. So yeah, if you're youngin, is 22 years old, and they weren't even around when World Trade Center happened or something like that, or when 9/11 happened. This is a great movie, along with Flight 93 and a number of documentaries that you can show them. Now this is going to be more of a cinematic take, right? Just like United 93. United 93. Wow, is that a rough watch? Holy shit! I think I've seen that movie. I think I've seen it twice. I can't believe I watched it a second time. I don't know how I brought myself to watching that movie twice, but that is a dour movie, right there. Obviously, because we know how it all ended, right? But this is a movie, another movie where it's a great movie to illustrate to people that they don't know 9/11 from 7/11, right? And just to show them and illustrate just the scope of how massive 9/11 was, right? So, but that's World Trade Center. That's my third favorite Michael Pena movie. All right, let's keep this train moving along to number 2. And number 2 on the Michael Pena top 5 movies of my choice is Ant-Man. Yes, Ant-Man here playing the right side man to Paul Rudd in Ant-Man right here, and he's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Okay, so this is our first outright comedic Michael Pena role in the top 5 right here, and right off the bat, it doesn't take long into this movie for Michael Pena to crack you up. He picks up Paul Rudd from prison, and they're in the van driving home, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my wife left me, and my mom died, and my dad died, but I got this van. It's pretty sweet, right? It's just hilarious." And then I just like the technique that they use in Ant-Man where where Paul Rudd's asking Michael Pena, like, "Hey, what happened, to this guy, or what happened in this situation?" And Michael Pena just starts rattling off, what happened, and all these people he talked to in all these different situations and that kind of thing. And like, "Oh, I talked to Yolanda, and Yolanda, she said this, and she said that, and she said this, and then she talked to her Jose, and then they just do this whole technique where they have Michael Pena's voice dubbed over, other people mouthing his lines and shit. This is hilarious technique that they use in Ant-Man right there. So it's and Ant-Man is definitely one of the more light-hearted Marvel movies. Fantastic Marvel movie right there. And hey, we got Agent X6 in on the board here on Movies Merica. Spoiler warning. Good to see you there. What up, Agent X6? Good to see you. And let me toast to you and Mabel 313 being here in the hizzy. Absolutely. And hopefully you're enjoying the top 5 Michael Pena list here. So yeah, let me take a tug off this bad boy. Oh yeah. Excellent. And I see Agent X6 is taking care of business on the pilled side there in the live chat. It's like, "Hey, where are the white women at?" From the great Blazing Saddles right there. Absolutely. So, which a movie they definitely would not make today. They should, but only with the right director. Okay. So I want a director, a based director doing Blazing Saddle. Not some director that's going to make Blazing Saddles for a modern audience. Okay. So yeah, that means Blazing Saddles with no balls. Blazing Saddles made for delicate, overly sensitive, fragile, gender studies graduates. Yes. And Agent 6 says, "Yeah, don't mess with the classics. I heard they're making a Spaceball sequel with Josh Gad, and unfortunately, yes, you heard correct. They are doing that. So it's going to be this will be an Apple movie or a Netflix movie or something like that. So I don't even know if it's even going to be in theaters. But yeah, I mean, Josh Gad, are you kidding me? What the hell? I mean, it being, I think, well, I don't think Mel Brooks is directing it, but I think he's going to be producing it or something like that. He's going to have something to do with it, right? Because Spaceballs is Mel Brooks' baby, right? But but I don't think he's going to direct it. But Josh Gad is about as big a woke piece of crap as you could possibly get. This side of Mark Ruffalo, right? And then of course Mel Brooks is a woke joke. Okay, nowadays, right there. So, but you just know this is going to be. I don't know if they're even going to call it Spaceballs. I mean, maybe they'll call it like Spaceballs. Might be a little too insulting to the delicate masses. We might have to sanitize it for our protection, okay? And call it space testicles or something like that, or something like that. Some sanitized, wussy ass title to it, something along those lines. So, and it says it will be an AIDS infected soy movie. Yes, exactly. So it's going to be some serious soy boy directed action. That is for sure. But yep, and Ajax 6 concurs. Someone else is directing this, or Spaceballs too, right there. But yeah, don't mess with the classics. Don't remake them nowadays. I don't trust people to remake movies nowadays because the talent pool is so lacking. We're so wanting for talent nowadays because even if someone has high talent, it's compromised by their woke tendencies. Okay, so and of course, as we know, woke is where talent goes to die. Right? It's you can be the most talented person, and if you dropped your knees and dropped your knees and open your mouth for woke every single time, then your talent is gone, right? And you know what? If that offends you,
be offended.
Exactly right there. So, but all right. So back to Michael Pena in Ant-Man right there. And so yeah, we got Michael Pena, and he's the comic relief along with his merry band of friends right there. He's friends with T.I. in this movie, and then the always great David Dastmalchian in this as well. And I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Yep, you're 100% spot on. Compromised by the woke cult right there. And Space Nads starring Josh Gad. Yes. And Josh Gad is he's kind of a pure Gad, kind of a I was about to say cuck, kind of like he was in that movie. Remember that movie Love and Other Drugs with Jake Gyllenhaal, right? And Anne Hathaway, he's in the movie here. He's in that movie, and he busts into he gets caught watching Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway get it on, right? And so he's pretty much like just this sexless loser in that movie. So pretty much he's like a sexless loser in real life, probably. So, but you never know. But all right, hey, we got No Man here in the chat there. No Man 1904 in the chat there on Rumble there, it looks like right there. So yeah, welcome to the show there, No Man 1904. So glad to see we got some more blood in the live chat though. So and definitely like to hear your thoughts and Ajax 6 thoughts, and anybody else who's listening, their thoughts on my top 5 list so far, or of End of Watch, whatever you have to say about End of Watch, that kind of thing, or cop movies in general. Feel free to unleash and let me know what you think. But yeah, Ant-Man, I believe directed by Perry Reed, I believe is the director of Ant-Man, and of course this is a Marvel movie here about a somewhat obscure Marvel Cinematic Universe hero or Marvel hero, but they managed to make an obscure hero like Ant-Man, make him likable, right? Make him a character that you root for. Partly because he's got, good friends, like Michael Pena's character in this. And, of course, you've got the always easy on the eyes. What's not Ava Longoria. What the fuck is her from Lost? Anyway, the female, the protagonist in Ant-Man right there. I'm like going to kick myself here if I don't think of her name right there. And someone in the chat is going to remind me there, I'm sure, right there. Evangeline Lilly, that's her name. There we go. Just boom. Waiting for the light bulb to turn on right there. So I got too many cobwebs up in the old cranium right there. So can't think right, man. I don't know what I'm doing. But finally, yeah, my brain woke up. So yeah, that's how I roll. Yeah, next thing's like, I wasn't sure of her name either, but Evangeline Lilly. Yes, I will. You always know her for the show Lost. So hot. There you go. Total smoke show from that show. But yeah, Michael Pena, fantastic in this movie. He takes care of business towards the end of the movie. He's like kind of plays Ant-Man's Scott's kind of cohort there. Kind of plays his security in this, and then I like just how Michael Pena and his friends, just the way that they interact with Michael Douglas's character, Hank Pym, in this. Is like Hank Pym, it just doesn't have any time for these guys. I mean, he's a man of science, he's a serious guy, and these guys are just a bunch of chuckleheads, right? So, but some chuckleheads that come in very handy, right? And I love that scene where they're driving in the van, Michael Pena and David Dastmalchian and T.I., and they're driving in the van. They pull up to, like, some cops have a barricade set up or something, like a roadblock set up or something like that. And all of a sudden they realize, oh, there's a roadblock. And Michael Pena's like, back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Just back up that van, back it up. This is one of the thousands of times where I cracked up watching Ant-Man right there. But yeah, Ant-Man is my number 2 Michael Pena movie there on my top 5 list. All right, so we're coming down to it, people. Coming down to it, to numero uno. But before I do that here, let me wet my whistle again. And again, hey, if you guys are drinking here, raise a glass, raise a can, raise a bottle here, and drink up here. All right, it's time to fucking relax. Oh yeah. Okay. So, without further ado, let's move off from number 2 and get to number 1. All right, numero uno, and that is End of Watch, people. End of Watch. Yes. This is hands down, no contest, my favorite Michael Pena movie because he keeps it the most real in this movie right here. Okay, he knows when to throw down and be serious when he needs to. Working the hard streets of South Central in L.A. I mean, he's a cop. He's a street cop rolling around in a hot black and white, and he's working in an area where he's a wanted man. He's a man with a target on his back. He's in the crosshairs, right? But he also knows how to let loose, right? He knows how to just joke around, and because otherwise you'd go nuts, right? Can you imagine being a cop in South Central and being too uptight? I can't imagine it right there. And also he's got great chemistry with Jake Gyllenhaal's Brian character, as we talked about earlier. I'm not going to get too much into that because we've just spent over an hour and a half talking about that. But he's his dramatic chops in End of Watch, right at the end where, he thinks Brian is dying and he's desperate. He's like, where's everybody at? Where's the fucking help? Where's they at? Where are they at? Come on. He's dying, man. He's dying here. Come on. Or when he's thrown down with, Mr. Trey, Mr. Trey calls him out. When he goes in there, he rescues those kids from the fire. And but he's funny in this movie, right? He's funny, especially or one of the scenes he's funny is his post-death scene, at the end where they cut from his funeral to just earlier in the day, that he's died, his last day on Earth, and he's telling the story, about how he thinks he's finally about to fuck his future wife, right? He's in the in her parents' bedroom. He's about to get down to business, and then her parents, show up. They arrive home. He thought the house was empty, but unfortunately, for him, her parents cock block him, and he's got nowhere to go because he's on the second story. He's got to hide underneath the bed, and he's hiding underneath the bed, and her parents climb into bed. And he's hoping to God that they don't do anything. And next thing you know, he says, they get down, they get down, they got down, they did it, and he had to listen to them have sex while he's hiding underneath the bed. That whole story that he goes into, and it's hilarious as hell when you're listening to it, when you're watching them. And so he's funny in this movie, but he's also serious, and it's fantastic right there. But yeah, it's a great movie. End of watch. It's fantastic. I'm not gonna get too far into this movie here because again, I've just spent like over an hour and a half doing that. But End of Watch is the number one movie here in the Michael Pena top 5 right there. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about my list right here. And No Man 1904. I appreciate you joining us right here. I see that you say last cinema movie you watched was the first Transformers, but you are not utterly useless. All right, you're not utterly useless. All right, just having you here, contributing and checking out the content, makes you very useful right there. So, and hey, if you can't, obviously it sounds like you can't check out the rest of the show live, but yeah, definitely check it out. Check out the recording later on, and yeah, if you wouldn't mind, sending the link to anybody that you even remotely thinks would enjoy the show, that'd be great. And hey, yeah, follow me on Rumble or whatever, and let me know that you followed me, and I will follow you back. No Man 1904. But yeah, exact. Go have fun. Gotta eat. Go have fun, and yeah, enjoy that grub right there. So, all right, let me check here real quick. Cross my T's, dot my I's. Make sure that I have attended to all important Movies Merica spoiler warning business. All right, so. And I think we're good right there. All right, everybody. So, and then just to let you guys know, so this next week, okay, so this Sunday, my spoiler-free review is going to be over The Bike Riders. Okay, so maybe a lot of you are wondering, like, what is The Bike Riders? What movie is The Bike Riders? Well, it's a new movie coming out about a bike gang. It kind of looks like if they did a prequel to Sons of Anarchy that took place back in the day, like in the 60s or the 70s or something like that. It's about a motorcycle gang led by Tom Hardy, and then also Austin Butler, who just played the main bad guy, or one of the main bad guys in Dune 2. He also played Elvis a couple years ago. Austin Butler's in it. But that's the movie that I'll be spoiler-free reviewing this Sunday on Movies Merica Live. And as you guys probably already know, that show comes on this Sunday afternoon, comes on at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central, 2 Mountain, and then 1 Pacific, okay? So Movies Merica Live, all about the bike riders this Sunday afternoon, and that's on Rumble and Pilled and YouTube, okay? And but to let you know, no show next Thursday, okay? So because I got to get ready for a trip there. And also, I wasn't going to have a show anyway, but it works out because the Whiskey Capitalist podcast show, they are going to take advantage of the open time slot there. So they're going to be doing their Trump-Biden debate show this time slot, this time channel next week there instead of this show. And so check that show out, and I will also be on that Trump-Biden watch-along show for the Whiskey Capitalist podcast next week. So you'll get to hear me give some more political perspective, more political commentary with Ian and Sean next week on their watch show for the debate there. And then a week from this Sunday, I will not be doing a Movies Merica Live because I will be up out of town. And then, of course, 2 weeks from tonight is the 4th of July. So I will not be doing a show on the 4th of July, okay, because I know if I did a show, nobody would watch. And rightfully so. You should be out enjoying the fireworks on the 4th of July, right? During the time this show was on, scarfing down brats and burgers and all that stuff there. So basically, no show a week from tonight, a no show a week from this Sunday, and then no show 2 weeks from tonight there. So, but then we'll get back to regular Movies America business after July 4th or the 4th of July holiday right there. But again, check me out on the debate show next week at this time and channel right there. All right, so let's check out things right here. Make sure we've got everything in order right there, because I want to make sure this is a well-oiled machine. And here at Movies America Spoiler Warning Corporation, I think we're good to go there. All right, we're getting ready to wrap this bad boy up right here. And as part of doing that here, let me turn you on to some locations that you should check out here. And the first location you should go to is solo.to/Movies Merica, okay? And what that is if you go there, that's all the links to all my stuff, okay? That's easy way to see all the links to my account on X and Criticlist, if you know what Criticlist is, or Letterboxd, my account on Rumble and Gab. And so, just kind of a one-stop shop for all the links to anything Movies Merica right there. So just go to solo.to/Movies Merica. If you don't feel like, searching to and fro Al Gore's worldwide interweb for all of my content, including the very show you're watching right now. Okay, so solo.to/Movies Merica is where you need to go. Okay, and then also www.moviesmerica.com is where you would go if for some reason, I can't imagine why, you just want to listen to the audio only versions of my Movies Merica live episodes that I do live every Sunday afternoon. So if you want to just listen to the show, I don't know why, you should want to watch it too, but hey, to each their own, right? You can check out the audio only versions of those episodes at moviesmerica.com, or you can check them out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you would imagine you can find podcasts, right? And and then also if you're checking out the show on, like, say, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, please give it a 5-star rating there, okay? And I would sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, so domo arigato. Okay, and but you know what? If I was you, what the cool kids do? They watch the episodes there on Rumble or Pill or YouTube. Okay, so check them out. Watch the episodes. That's what I would recommend. That's 4 out of 5 dentists prefer that you watch the show. Okay. And then also moviesmerica.com, and then like the audio only versions. To be honest with you, a lot of times the old procrastination bug hits me, and I don't get those out until like Wednesday, Thursday, whereas if you watch the show, if you watch the show, you get it right away on Sunday. Okay. Especially if you watch it live, you get it right away live. Okay. But if you watch the show, if you get to the show episodes on YouTube and Rumble and Pilled, those are available to you right away, right there. Okay, so all right, and then next place you should go is checking me out on all the social media sites like X and Instagram and Gab and Facebook and Pilled. Okay, and you can find me under @Movies Merica at all of those locations that I just mentioned right there. Okay, and again, like I said before, if you follow me on any of those platforms like X and Instagram and Gab and Pilled and Facebook, then DM me on X and let me know, hey, Van, I followed you on this platform or all these platforms. Follow me back there. Come on, man, hook me up, and I will follow you back. Okay, but I don't know to follow you back unless you tell me. Okay, so that's where DMing me on X does that as well. So, all right. So then we're going to move on to tdpn.locals.com. And Again, that's the website that you see up there above. Again, tdpnlocals.com, where we have all our great Till Death Podcast Network content. And I won't go too much into that, but take my word for it. Get there now. Check it out. All right. And also, the Till Death Podcast Network, we are a vast empire, a very powerful empire. And what do all vast and powerful empires have in common? Like the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, Alexander the Great, Napoleon. What do they all have in common? Merch stores. They all had merch stores, right? Remember when you got your Genghis Khan merch, right? Well, the Till Death Podcast Network, we have a merch store as well where you can get Movies Merica merch, okay? And so all you have to do is click on the merch link down below in the description, all right? And grab yourself a Movies Merica t-shirt or a Movies Merica koozie or Movies Merica, phone case, what have you. Whatever your heart desires, whatever your imagination can think of. All right. Probably have it there with Movies Merica, signage on it. The Movies Merica logo on it there. So check that out. And hey, it's June, so Christmas is right around the corner. All right. Or hey, who doesn't give out gifts on Labor Day? Come on, I got Labor Day coming around here. I got 4th of July coming around the corner. Rise above. Don't be unique, be distinctive, and start giving out some gifts during those holidays in addition to Christmas, and make sure it's Movies Merica gifts. So I guess nothing says I love you like a Movies Merica. Like some Movies Merica merch right there. Okay, so they say every kiss begins with K. Screw K. Every kiss begins with Movies Merica merch. Am I right? So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, get to the merch store down below. All right, and then we also have at Till Death Network, solo.to/Till Death Pod Network. Okay, and that's where you would go if you want a one-stop shop location for all links that have to do with the Till Death Podcast Network. Okay, so if you don't want to hunt and peck all over the World Wide Web for this Till Death Podcast Network show and that Till Death Podcast Network show, just go to at Till Death Network, solo.to/Till Death Pod Network, and save it as a favorite. Okay, and then just go there to get to any Till Death Podcast Network location you need to get to. All right. So, all right. You have been forewarned, or you have been informed, I should say. And then next on the docket is solo.to/Till Death Studios. And the reason you want to go there is if you're in the content creation game like yours truly here. Okay. I've got the Movies Merica show here, and, I wanted to make the show look good. I wanted to, spruce it up a little bit, give it some flair, like Office Space, right? As if I was working at Tchotchke's and I wanted to give my show 27 pieces of flair. Well, if you go to solo.to/Till Death Studios, my man Ian is going to hook you up with cool flair, like say those intros that you saw at the beginning of the show, or this cool background that you see here, okay, behind me, or the overlay up at the very top that says tdpn.locals.com, stuff like that. Okay, if you want to enhance your content with cool stuff like that, then yeah, go to solo.to/Till Death Studios, and my main man Ian, with the skills that pay his bills, will hook you up. Okay, but you got to take the first step. Okay, and go to solo.to/Till Death Studios. All right, and then moving on, we have solo.to/I'm Sean Cav. And that's the location where you're going to find all the links that have to do with Sean here on the Till Death Podcast Network. And as you know, Sean is one half of the dynamic duo of the Whiskey Capitalist podcast, right? And then also Sean flies solo on his Sipping with Sean show that comes out every other Friday afternoon. And so he's got all kinds of great content in addition to that, like musical content, because he's a fantastic bass guitarist. So I'm sure he's got links there to some of his performances, that kind of thing. He's an author. Okay, he's got a ebook out there you can get, and I'm sure there's a link to his ebook there. So long story short, just get to solo.to/I'm Sean Cav, and yeah, just tune yourself into anything he has to offer. All right, let me get a little drinky drink right here because, yeah, those frogs are back. All right. Thanks for bearing with that silence right there. All right, we're moving on to solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist. And that's the one-stop location where you can find all the links that have to do with the Whiskey Capitalist podcast. And I just mentioned that show, the Whiskey Capitalist podcast, that is on every Monday and Wednesday nights, and then every other Tuesday night, okay? But also, like I mentioned before, they're also going to be on a week from tonight. They're going to be on next Thursday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, and 4 Pacific for the Trump-Biden debate, okay? The watch show for that debate. And again, yours truly. There we go. Let's get that thumb pointing in the right direction. This guy right here. I will be joining them with that show again. So that'd be next Thursday night. Don't miss it. But yeah, solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist is the location for all the links that have to do with that very show. All right. And then last but not least, solo.to/Till Death Podcast. That's where you go for all the links that have to do with the flagship show of the Till Death Podcast Network, the one that started it all, the OG show, the Till Death Podcast. That's the show with Ian and his lovely bride Jen that they do every other Saturday afternoon, and that's where they feature like the latest headlines, political and whatnot, and funnies, all presented to you, marinated in their marital mirth. Right, you're gonna get the husband and wife perspective there while they bust each other's chops, the way that wives and husbands do. Okay. And but yeah, if you want a nice, easy way to to have access to the links to that show, solo.to/Till Death Podcast. You can just save it as a favorite in your browser, and you're good to go. All right. So, but do it. Don't hesitate. Get it done right there. And all right, let's see. Checking some items right here. So just doing a little house cleaning right there. And okay, so well, just in case there's somebody in the Pilled live chat here, what I'll do here now is what we call releasing the scratching, okay? And you might be scratching your head right now wondering, what the hell does that mean? Well, what that means is if you're in the live chat on Pilled, what you can do, what you may have gifted to you is gold pills. And like I said before, gold pills equate to real world money in the Pilled world. Okay. So if you get a certain number of gold pills, that's a certain amount of money. Okay. And so what I'm going to do here for everybody that's in the live chat on Pilled right there is I'm going to release the scratching, and that's just going to make gold pills just rain down. Okay. Rain down on them. And then they just have to grab all the gold pills they want. Kind of like, you remember those little those displays right there. You got the little display where it's got the dollar bills flying all around in the wind. It's like you have to grab as many dollar bills as you possibly can. So this is the Pilled equivalent to that, where I'm just going to release some gold pills down from the sky right there. So, but enough of me talking about doing that here. I'm going to get this gold pill here and release the scratching. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1. All right, that scratching has been released. So for anybody that's in the live chat on Pilled, enjoy yourself. Get grabby, okay? So no, not Joe Biden kind of grabby. Don't get that grabby right there. Don't get I was about to say get charges pressed against you, but Joe Biden, he's above the law. He doesn't get charges pressed against him. So so he could get as grabby with as many women as he wants, and he'll never face justice right there, but you will. So don't get that grabby. Okay. So, all right. So there you go. Me getting off on another political tangent there. What are you going to do? I tell you. All right. Well, hey, again, I just want to thank everybody for joining the show, whether you were able to watch the entire thing or just were able to join in for a minute or two or a few minutes or whatever. But yeah, again, thanks. And again, if you can think of anybody, even that you think even remotely would be interested in this show, send them the link. Okay. text it to them, instant message it to them, email it to them, whatever you got to do. Okay, let them know. Or just have them check out my page on X or Rumble or Pilled under @Movies Merica right there, and they get to the episodes themselves. Okay, again, follow me on X, and if you so desire to do that, follow me on X under @Movies Merica, Rumble, Gab, Pilled, YouTube. YouTube is a little harder because you look for Till Death Podcast Network on YouTube and follow that. Okay, and you'll see all my episodes right there. And again, like I said, if you follow me on any of those platforms and you DM me on X and tell me, hey, Van, I followed you on these platforms, and I will follow you back on those platforms. Okay, so because I try to be generous at least once in my life. Okay, so all right, enough about all that. You guys got things to do. All right, and but again, yeah. So no show this time next week, just a debate show, which I will be on. But with that, get out there, people. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. See you.
Hey, everybody, don't leave yet. Okay? Hey, I got just enough time. I got the police after me, okay? And, oh man, they're gonna get me at any time. I got just enough time to ask you to like this video and also subscribe to this channel if you would, man. You'd be doing me a big favor, okay? And please make sure to like these videos or watch them and then like them, okay? That'd be great. And again, thanks for watching, okay? And subscribe to the Till Death Podcast Network and Movies Merica. I gotta go.